Pretty Girl Club. So today I am going to be addressing some critiques of my YouTube channel. So I actually love when people critique my channel because not only has it helped my community to grow, but it actually strengthens my talking points. And also, a part of the reason why I came on YouTube was so I could actually have a conversation with other content creators, unambiguous Black content creators who disagree with me, because I just feel like for so long, only one side of kind of the colorism conversation and kind of the Black women's conversation has been heard. So I welcome critiques, especially if a person, like, let's say they make a video or somebody sends me screenshots or something like that. But one thing that someone said is that I have not received any formal criticism against my channel, or that I haven't received criticism from non-Black women on my channel, or I haven't received a lot of criticism at all. Well, first of all, that's false. I actually have received death threats for having this channel. I've received multiple people attempting to smear my channel name or attempting to misrepresent the premise of my channel. Another question I have is I find it interesting as to why someone would care how much criticism I receive. So I've noticed this rhetoric sometimes with some unambiguous Black women who have critiqued me. They will say things like, well, she doesn't get as much criticism as unambiguous Black women. And I've actually seen that even when it comes to like reality TV stars and stuff, they'll be like, oh, so-and-so light-skinned person, she doesn't get as much criticism as this other person. And my first question is, why do you care about how much criticism I receive or don't receive? I find that to be interesting because when I think about other content creators, I'm not thinking to myself, well, how many people criticize her? Oh, well, a lot of people like her. So now I'm mad. Now I'm going to criticize her because I'm seeing that she's not really getting a lot of criticism. So that's interesting. And also, people are saying I haven't got much formal criticism. What is formal criticism? What's the difference between formal criticism and informal criticism? Because the last time I checked, this is literally just a social media app. So do you see what I mean about how some people, they literally put you on such a high pedestal to the point where they're tracking how much criticism you receive. They're comparing your criticism to other content creators' criticisms. They're saying, oh, well, did she receive formal criticism, informal criticism? Oh, well, she doesn't seem to be getting criticized, so now let me come in here and do this. So isn't that interesting? Another critique that I received is, I have so many inconsistencies. So whether this is inconsistencies with my content, with who I am as a person, I'm not sure. But even so, first of all, I never said that I don't have inconsistencies. And secondly, even if I do have inconsistencies, whether it's in my talking points or whatever, that does not invalidate the actual talking points of the channel. Because when it comes to like the term exotical or kind of like who I choose to do videos on and stuff, this is directly based on unambiguous Black women who throw us in and out of unambiguous Blackness. And I feel like there are actually inconsistencies in the Black community. And so that's actually what this channel highlights. So even if it does seem like I'm not keeping the same energy for certain topics, or, I'm not acting the same way depending on the scenario, my response is, so what? Who cares? Like, that still doesn't invalidate my experiences. That still doesn't invalidate the experiences of 20,000 women who have come together on this channel. We can't all be lying. So even if some of us have inconsistent stories, or if some of us have like different viewpoints and stuff, that still doesn't invalidate us. I believe that two things can be true at the same time. So inconsistency doesn't always mean that like the entire thing has been debunked. All it means is that that community is not a monolith. All it means is that that person is multifaceted. So for some people who are one-dimensional thinkers, they think that a human being is required to be the exact same way all the time. And so one of the critiques I received is that somehow I'm not acting the exact same way all the time, or I'm not saying the exact same things all the time. And it's like, welcome to being a human. Like, I'm sorry, who have you been for your entire life? Like, have you just been trying to robotically act the same way? A part of expressing yourself is being able to express a range of emotions, being able to express a range of talking points. In some cases, maybe changing your beliefs if you find that something doesn't serve you anymore. So I don't see anything wrong with that. Another critique that someone said was they don't like the fact that I created this YouTube channel for Exoticals, but then I talk about non-exotical content. So they don't like the fact that I'm talking about Exoticals, but I'm also kind of, I wouldn't say prominent in other spaces, but according to critics, it seems like they're implying that my voice is also prominent in the pretty privileged space. Well, which it is actually. My channel is actually prominent in the decentering men space based on my analytics. I'm in the decentering men space. I'm in the pretty privileged space. I'm in the social commentary space. I'm a little bit in the celebrity tea space, kind of popping up alongside some of the same videos where they're kind of giving commentary on musicians and stuff. And so one of the critiques I received is that, why are you saying you're making a space for just exoticals and then you're talking about non-exotical stuff? I don't like that because basically it's making black women look bad, because the people who are coming on my channel to watch decentering men content and stuff, they're going to see videos pop up on their algorithm about, maybe a story time series. That's something else somebody got offended by. They didn't like the fact that exoticals were telling their story times because they're like, oh, that's making black women look bad. And it's like, any person on YouTube who is dumb enough to make a stereotype about billions of black women based off of a YouTube video is already too far gone. Okay, so I'm not going to create content or like censor myself in order to pander to racists or in order to pander to people who like stereotype and stuff like that. So it's like, if somebody is dumb enough to watch one YouTube video or to watch this channel, I'm not the queen of the world. So if somebody's dumb enough to just watch this channel and say, oh my God, I just think that everything Exoticals United says is 100% true, I'm just blindly following her like I'm some sort of person in a cult, that person is already an idiot. So it's like, why are you concerned about what idiots think? Why are you so obsessed with what random dumb people think about you? So that's number one. And another thing that I've noticed is when it comes to my content, so first people were criticizing because they were like, oh, you should have included all types of black women on your YouTube channel. I don't like the fact that you basically excluded unambiguous black women, or you didn't center your channel around them. That's mean because you're excluding them. You're including all the other women who have all the other different types of features, but you're not including unambiguous mono dark skinned black women with broad features and 4C hair in your images. You're not including them at the core audience of your YouTube channel. And it's like, okay, number one, stop begging me to be your representation. I don't owe you representation. Also, why would I speak on behalf of a type of woman that I am not? Like, when I first started following kind of the pro-black content, like black women's content on YouTube, I thought that I could relate heavily to it until I actually started watching a lot of it. Like, once I started watching a lot of videos from like Chrissy and all these other women, I was like, oh, wait, I thought that I could heavily relate to it, but it turns out I can't really relate as much, so that's fine. I'm not gonna beg these other content creators to represent me. They have different experiences than me. And so first the critiques of the Exoticals were, oh, you guys think you're better because you're trying to like separate yourself by talking about your special experiences. And now the critiques are, oh, I don't like the fact that non-black women are coming to the Exoticals United YouTube channel and they're learning about the experiences of exotical women. Like, that's kind of what this critique sounds like. It sounds like women are mad because I've got like Indian women watching this channel, white women watching this channel, who are a part of my audience because they watch the other videos, and they are actually empathizing with like light-skinned black women or mixed race black women or darker skinned women who have keener features or maybe a looser hair texture. So that's one of the critiques that I'm receiving. It's basically, I'm mad because now all the other people outside of the black community can see my hypocrisy. I mean, that's really what that sounds like. It sounds like these people who are critiquing my channel, they're just upset because now there are actually women who are kind of responding to some of the colorism content and stuff like that, and they don't like the fact that my channel in particular is attracting a lot of non-black women. So the fact that I have multiracial appeal and multicultural appeal, and the fact that I have audience members of other races, that seems to bother some of these women who are trying to critique me, because they're saying, you're making black women look bad in front of white people. You're making black women look bad in front of the non-black community. And it's like, okay, why do you have a white-centered identity? Why are you obsessed with what random white people on YouTube think about you? If it's that serious, then why don't you just go and, represent yourself, as opposed to begging me to represent you in a positive light, or begging me to represent you in a way that is not consistent with my experiences. If I look on my experiences as a woman who does not have the same phenotype as like Whoopi Goldberg or something like that. A lot of black women only stand up for dark-skinned, unambiguous black women on YouTube, or as far as like the content that they create. And so why is it that I'm expected to cape for women who don't cape for me? Do you see the hypocrisy? Another critique that I got is that I make controversial content speculating on the mental health of unambiguous black women. So, for example, when I do the Storytime series, or like when I talked about inferiority complexes, I'm assuming maybe like my Fanita videos, so some of like my celebrity commentary videos. And my response is Cynthia G, Queen Chama, I Am Aloho, Paris Milan, Chrissy, and pretty much any other black creator I can think of, they make speculative commentary on the mental health of light-skinned black celebrities all the time. Or they make speculative commentary on the mental health states of mixed black women all the time. I see them talking about Erica Mena, Danny Lay, pretty much anybody you can think of. Lighter skinned black women, Ice Spice, whatever. Any sort of black woman that is unambiguous. I see lots of unambiguous women speculating and commenting and kind of, giving their opinions on us all the time. And so why is it okay when they do it, but suddenly when we do the same thing, and not even on the same level, because I am nowhere near on the same level in terms of like my content. I'm still a small growing content creator. So why is it that you're overlooking what these women are doing, and that's okay for them to do it, but suddenly because you put me on such a high pedestal, you are literally pedestalizing my content and my channel, so much so to the point where you think that I have more social power than all of those other YouTube channels combined. So if you combine Queen Chama, I Am Aloho, Chrissy, if you combine all the black unambiguous women and all their subscribers, let's say you combine them all together, that's millions of subscribers. So you're telling me that this small channel called Exoticals United with only about 20,000 subscribers is so powerful and so almighty, and it's on such a high pedestal to the point where I'm overtaking and overshadowing all these other content creators, and that's problematic. And also, let's talk about this. Why would you be offended by something that's not true? Like if somebody were to say, oh, Exoticals United, you're such a horrible content creator, I would laugh at that because I know that that's untrue, right? That is so far-fetched. It's so far from the truth to the point where it's laughable. Like I don't even get bothered by it. But if I become extremely emotionally dysregulated or I go into some sort of narcissistic rage, well, that's a sign that you struck a nerve. And so it's sounding like I'm telling a little bit too much truth. I'm having a conversation that's hitting too close to the core to the point where, oh no, this has to be stopped. It sounds like a hit dog hollering to me because the unambiguous black women who are mentally healthy and confident and, they can relate to a lot of my content, they actually don't have a problem with my channel. And it's funny because even the YouTube channels that I watch that have dragged me directly, like I still subscribe to channels like Chrissy to this day. I'm still subscribed to her channel, even though she directly dragged me on her channel because I don't actually believe the negative things that she has said about me. And so it doesn't latch. You know what I mean? You know how people say, oh, you latched. When they say that, they mean that you latched onto their insecurity. You latched onto their weak point. You were able to get under their skin. And so because this kind of stuff, it doesn't get under my skin on the same level, I am able to either laugh at it or I can still watch it or I can simply, not watch it. So my question is, why is it okay for others to speculate about our mental health and, say that we have superiority complexes and all this stuff and we're colorists, we're internalized colorists, or, we don't stand up for unambiguous black women enough, but it's not okay for us to respond. It's not okay for us to speculate back, because that's making you guys look bad. And it's like, since when are we your PR agents? Why do we have to be your PR agents? Why do we have to be your publicists? Why is it that we are your marketing directors? No, you're doing that same thing that a lot of black women have done in the past, where you're looking to us to be your representation. You want us to be your spokespeople. You want us to be your representatives, and then in turn, you guys can kind of pathologize us, and it's not a problem, right? You guys called us preferences, exoticals, you guys gave us all these fun nicknames, and now we've taken those nicknames back, and it's funny how such a small channel is literally enough to get people so riled up to the point where they're like deeply hurt by it. And the difference between a woman who is leveled up versus a woman with an inferiority complex is a leveled up woman, she can let things roll off her back or she can actually laugh. Like when I got dragged, I actually get dragged on the internet all the time. So when I get dragged, I can actually laugh because I understand that when you are in a position of social power or when you're like leveling up, people are going to react, right? So this is just proof of my power. So even when it came to Chrissy, even Chrissy said, hey, this is just proof that I'm doing something right. And so it's like, yeah, so you just rest in your power, just feel complimented at the fact that I'm addressing you, and then you just move on. But if you are not complimented, if you are deeply upset to the point where you feel like I'm making you look bad, well, what's happening to where I'm making you personally look bad? Like, what is it that's so relatable to you and Fanita or Normani and Kelly Rowland, and kind of like my inferiority complex talking points and stuff? Like, that shouldn't be relatable to you, right? Because it's not representing you. And when it comes to people like making jokes about you or making you look bad, like for example, I could argue that Chrissy's channel or all these other channels have made maybe lighter skinned black women look bad or dark skinned mixed women look bad. I could make that argument, but you know what? I still would never want to silence them. My point of making this channel was actually not so I could silence unambiguous dark skinned black women, it was so I could engage in a conversation. But I've noticed that when I come on here and when I make these videos, there are some women who don't want to have a conversation. They don't want to make back and forth videos where it's like, you respond to me, I respond to you, you respond to me. We actually address the talking points as opposed to just trying to throw random insults and stuff. So as soon as we decide, hey, yeah, we actually do want to join the colorism conversation, then suddenly other people, they just want to shut it down or they just want to silence my channel. Another critique that I got is that by me talking about Normani and Kelly Rowland, that's hate speech. So my channel is hate speech. So if this channel is hate speech, why not just report me to YouTube then? Then just report me to YouTube, give YouTube the timestamps, and then if YouTube sees fit, they will remove this channel. I mean, I've been on here since 2021. So if my channel is just hate speech because I'm talking about celebrities or because I'm speculating, making whatever kind of content I want, then why is it that you have not been successful at reporting my entire channel and getting it removed? Because for some people, I feel like the only way they'll be happy is like if we just sit down and shut up and like don't talk. Another critique that I got was, I'm not an unambiguous black woman who's dark skinned with 4C hair and broad features, so I can't speak on them. But by that same logic, that would mean that Chrissy and Aloho, Paris Milan, all of the thousands, all of the hundreds of thousands of unambiguous black women, that would mean that they can't speak on us. Actually, even women like It's Keisha, she has a commentary channel where she actually talks mostly about white celebrities and non-black celebrities. So is she not allowed to talk about those celebrities because she's not one of them? She doesn't have their phenotype. She doesn't have Taylor Swift's phenotype. So she can't make videos about Taylor Swift. So do you see how quickly that argument falls apart? And then another critique I got was, I'm not a mental health professional. So basically I can't speak on psychology. I'm not allowed to even discuss psychology because I'm not a mental health professional. And it's like, okay, well, you're not a YouTube marketing professional. So by that same logic, once again, I could make the argument that you can't speak on YouTubers then because technically you're not a YouTube professional. So have you ever noticed how other women, they can come on YouTube with no credentials, no education, no audience, nothing positive to say, no community building skills, no conflict resolution skills, but suddenly when Exoticals United comes onto the scene, oh, I have to be a mental health professional, I need to be unambiguous with dark skin and 4C hair and broad features, and I have to know exactly what I'm talking about, and I have to fit into every community that I'm talking about in order to speak on that community. So do you see the internalized pedestalization right there? Do you see how this person is raising the bar super high as soon as I come in the picture? Oh, well, you're not qualified. You didn't go back and get your master's degree and get a PhD in psychology, so you can't talk about psychology on YouTube. First of all, a person can be good at something without having a degree in it, and a person can also be an a-hole and have a degree. Look at Dr. Orion Taraban. He does have a degree in psychology. He is a PhD in psychology, and he is a red pill guy. So are you telling me that you agree that Dr. Orion Taraban, who is a red pill psychologist, that he is actually more qualified and a better content creator and he's good at his talking points in the red pill space because he has a PhD? Do you see how easily that talking point falls apart? Another critique I got was, well, when you make a YouTube channel, you're a public figure now, so I'm open to critiquing you. Oh, I 100% agree. You have the right to critique me as much as you want. And guess what? I have the right to critique back. Exotical tax, and I'm getting paid for this video. So I have no problem with people critiquing me, making videos about me, making comments about me. I actually hope that they keep doing that because that's feeding into my content even more. So I actually appreciate that. Feel free to critique, make as many videos or as many comments as you want. Oh, and by the way, somebody said that like I was on Clubhouse or that there's like some sort of exotical thing on Clubhouse. I don't have a Clubhouse, just so you guys know. So yeah, I've never even been on there. That has nothing to do with this, but anyway. Another critique that I received is if a white woman says that unambiguous dark-skinned black women have inferiority complexes, you would view that as racist. And so therefore, Exoticals United, you're not allowed to say that because you're not a member of the unambiguous dark-skinned black women's community. And once again, I can make the claim that, okay, if we're going by the rule that you can't speak on communities that you're not a part of, that would mean that you cannot speak on black men because you're not a black male, you're a black female, right? So you can't speak on a community that you're not a part of. And so why are you talking about black males? Oh, Cynthia G, you can't have that YouTube channel because you yourself are not a black male, so you're not allowed to pathologize black males. Oh, Martin Luther King, you're pathologizing white people and saying that they need to unite because they were being racist or they had internalized racism. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, all these other civil rights leaders, you guys aren't allowed to speak on the white community and your experiences with them and your negative experiences. You guys aren't allowed to speak about them because you're not a part of their community. So once again, do you see how that's actually just a silencing tactic? Anytime somebody says, well, you're not a part of this group, so you're not allowed to talk about it. If somebody is trying to give you any sort of argument that ends with, you can't speak on this, well, they're just saying that because they just want you to be quiet. They're just mad that you're speaking up and that you're actually being heard. They're mad because they don't have a voice, because they don't have a platform, because they did not have the grit or the determination or the resilience and the skill to build their own platform to make themselves look good. And so they're mad that you have a voice for yourself and you're doing what they were scared to do. And so that's all we've done over here. We kind of got tired of other women speaking on our behalf. And so we decided, hey, we're actually going to make this into a conversation. So from here on out, anyone that speaks on Exoticals, we're going to come back and respond. And we have the right to correct certain things or debunk certain things or speak our opinions just like anyone else. And also, I find it interesting how I am randomly being compared to a white woman. So have you ever noticed how if you're not an unambiguous dark-skinned mono black woman with broad features and 4C hair, if you disagree with something she says, you're automatically compared to a white woman? So first, I heard that I sound white, like somebody else just said that. That was another critique, that I sound white, and so like I'm trying to be white, and that we sound like divestors, and divestors talk white, apparently. So it's, I sound white, and then now the critique is, oh, if a white woman said the same things that you're saying, she would be counted as racist, and so therefore you're being racist. But do you see how they're actually making you the white woman of the black community? So this ties into what I say all the time. It's throwing you in and out of blackness at will. They will say things like, oh, Beyonce is black. Beyonce has a very similar phenotype to me. She has a triracial type of background like myself. So Beyonce is black. So do you see how one moment a person like Beyonce is black, and then the next moment, if you have that same phenotype and then you disagree with someone unambiguous, suddenly, oh no, you're not black. So what makes a person not black? It's because they disagree with you, then suddenly they're no longer black. Do you see what I mean? This is exactly why we need our own spaces, and this is why we need a place to speak, because we constantly get thrown in and out of blackness, and people will try to throw you out of unambiguous blackness because they're hoping to silence you by basically saying, mind your business, this is not your fight. And it's like, well, guess what? When people fight, they have commentators, they have spectators who are watching the fight, they have people who film the fights, they have people who promote the fights, they have people who engage in the fight. And so you don't get to tell me how I can use my freedom of speech. So just like how you had freedom of speech and how other women have had freedom of speech to talk about Exoticals, we have the freedom of speech to speak from our perspectives as well. How you like them apples? Also, you know how I say that like my core audience is exoticals, and if my content is offensive to you, or if it's like rage baiting or something where you get annoyed by it, you shouldn't watch it. One of the critiques I got is, well, it doesn't matter why people are watching you. You need to respond to what we're saying. It's like, well, no, actually, it does matter why you're watching me, because self awareness is a part of self esteem. And so, yes, you actually should practice introspection and asking yourself, hey, why am I watching content that makes me very upset? Why am I watching content of women who have pretty privilege and I feel like I can't relate to that? Why am I watching content and comparing my life and comparing my quote unquote privileges to whatever perceived privileges I think someone else has? That's actually a very important question. So to overlook that and say, well, it doesn't matter why people are watching your content and they don't like it. The fact is they're watching it and they don't like it. It's like, no, you should actually ask yourself that. Like, wait a minute, why am I wasting my time watching this sort of content? Why am I wasting hours of my life watching something that I can't relate to, that is unhelpful to me, something that I feel disparaged by? Why am I doing that? And I feel like the reason that some women don't want to answer that question is because they don't want to admit that my content is valuable and it's valid. You don't have to like me, but you will respect me, in the words of the Exotical Khalees. So it's like, a lot of these women, they don't want to admit that my content is valuable. That's why they're watching. So that's why you're saying it doesn't matter why I'm watching. No, it does matter why you're watching. You're watching because you can't deny the fact that we have good content. Exoticals are fantastic content creators. We talk about pretty privilege. We've talked about overcoming narcissistic abuse. We are the only sector on YouTube that actually offers solutions to internalize colorism, texturism, and featureism. I can name off some solutions for you right now. Getting rid of hierarchy thinking, only going into spaces where you are celebrated, and removing yourself from spaces where you don't feel celebrated. So this actually ties back to why you're watching my content. If you don't feel celebrated enough by this content, like if you only want to watch YouTube channels where your particular unambiguous Black phenotype and experience is celebrated, then that's fine. That just means that you don't want to watch a light-skinned Black woman content creator or a mixed-race Black woman content creator, and that's totally fine. But that is something that you would want to ask yourself, because guess what? It's not my problem. I'm not forcing you to click on my content. No one's forcing you to be here. Another critique I got is, Exoticals United, you watch Chrissy and you're not a dark-skinned Black woman. Yeah, I watch Chrissy because Chrissy still creates valuable content that has helped me. And guess what? I know how to actually admit if somebody else is a good content creator. The people who are critiquing me, they don't know how to admit when the light-skinned devil, or this mixed race, multiracial preference from hell, is actually a good content creator. And so that's why I'm going to continuously call that out, because notice how I have no problem saying, hey, I'm subscribed to Chrissy, I'm subscribed to Queen Chama, I'm subscribed to I Am Aloho, I'm subscribed to Paris Milan. I watch all of their content because I still think that all of them have videos that have been good content, in my opinion. But the unambiguous Black women who critique my channel, they don't want to admit that they like my pretty privilege content. You like a lot of the other stuff that I make on this YouTube channel, and that's really what it is. So that's why I constantly remind you, the haters who are watching, like, no, why are you watching me? Oh, what? Because I actually make good content? Exotical tax! Another critique that I got is when I said that unambiguous Black women who feel offended by the space that we have, it actually is a form of self-harm if you are offended by something and then you keep on watching it and keep clicking it, you keep falling for rage bait. Not only did I get that talking point from a Black woman herself on Lipstick Alley, who said that her therapist, who is a mental health professional, since you care so much about who's qualified in psychology, so I'm actually just repeating something that a Black woman herself said that her therapist told her, which is, if you keep on getting harmed, or if you feel emotionally unsafe, or if you feel emotionally harmed by something, you should not continue to engage in it. So by me repeating that, that's bad, apparently. And also the reason that I said that it can be a form of self-harm is because if you do not feel like you have pretty privilege, or you don't want to have pretty privilege, or maybe you are not decentered from men, or you are not like, you can't relate to anything on this channel. So you don't have pretty privilege, you don't want pretty privilege, you don't want to decenter men, you haven't decentered men, you don't want to hear the story times of exoticals, then it actually does count as a form of self-harm, in my opinion, because emotionally you are comparing yourself, most likely. That's how it looks from my perspective. It looks like you don't feel like you have pretty privilege, and so then you're kind of obsessing over and spying on these coveted pretty women, or it comes off like you're kind of watching from the abyss, like, oh wait, what is it like to be an exotical? Well, what kind of experiences are they having? Wait, so they actually got pedestalized when they were teenagers? Oh wow, so people are like, they think they're exotic? Wait, so they actually do think they're pretty? Does she think she's better than me? Let me go look at her comment section and read 500 comments so I can see what kind of stuff they talk about. I can't relate to anything that they're saying, but I'm just so curious as to what it's like to actually be an exotical. Oh no, but I don't want to be one of them. Oh no, but I don't want to have pretty privilege. Oh no, but I don't want to decenter men, but out of curiosity, I just want to like watch them. Oh, but now I'm angry. So do you see how mentally unstable that sounds? So it's dysregulating you emotionally. That's why I said that I agree that it is a form of self-harm, because anytime you are purposely putting yourself in an emotionally dysregulated state and you're doing it continuously, I do believe that that's a form of self-harm. I said what I said. And another critique that I got is, if your content is just uplifting exoticals, then how would it count as being self-harm? Well, it counts as self-harm because a person who is not confident, they're going to feel emotionally hurt by a person who is confident. A person who's insecure gets intimidated, or they get upset, or they get jealous, or they get angry at confidence. In fact, they will even say things such as, you have a superiority complex, or you think you're better than me. So that's why I said that I agree that that actually is a form of self-harm, because if you don't feel like you are worth anything, if you feel like you're at the bottom, and then you've got other women who are like, oh, well, I don't feel like I'm at the bottom, I feel like I'm the shit. Obviously, that's going to be offensive to you because you don't understand what it's like to think you're the shit. You don't understand what it's like to feel confident, so you're naturally going to be offended. A person who has low self-esteem is automatically going to take any form of confidence and, loving yourself out loud. They're going to take that as arrogance. When you're self-hating, you're offended and harmed by self-love. You genuinely get offended if somebody else loves themselves. I stand 10 toes down on what I said. I'm never apologizing for it, and that's it. Another critique that I got is my content is antagonistic. Like I'm antagonizing Black women by having a YouTube channel. And it's like, okay, so other women, they can tell their story times about light-skinned women being bullies. They can call people mediocre light-skins, ramen noodle head ass bitches. They can say they age like milk. They can call people Beckishas and biracial Beckys, or half Neanderthal, half Ling Ling, half Maria. So you can do all that, and that's not antagonistic. None of that counts. It doesn't matter. But suddenly, if I make content where I'm sharing story times of women in my community who finally have a safe space to vent, then suddenly that's antagonistic. If I critique Normani or Kelly Rowland or whoever, then suddenly that's antagonistic. So I've noticed that there's this habit where when a person can't argue with my talking points, they will simply start making a kind of almost like this generalization where they're like, oh, you're being antagonistic. But then they don't have a timestamp, they don't have a screenshot, they don't have a video clip of exactly where I was antagonizing all Black women, or, being so antagonistic. And also, once again, that actually does go against the YouTube guidelines. So if you truly feel like I'm actually being antagonistic, then why is my channel still here? I should have been gone, right? Why would I still be here after 3 years? Shouldn't my channel have been deleted a long time ago because it's hate speech? So by me critiquing Normani and saying that she's not as good of a performer as Tinashe, apparently that's antagonistic. Point fingers and name names. What exactly is antagonistic? Talking about inferiority complexes? That's antagonistic? Please tell me what the correct way is to do a YouTube channel. So I've noticed that the people who critique this YouTube channel or other YouTube channels, they love telling you what you're doing wrong, and then they offer no solutions. So it's like, okay, so what's the correct way for me to have a YouTube channel then? I'll wait. Oh, what? You wish I didn't have one? Oh, what? You're mad because of my existence? That's what I thought. Exotical tax. Another critique I got was if your content harms anyone, if it's offensive to anyone, why create content at all? Well, that's because there are some people who have so much internalized self-hatred, or they're so emotionally dysregulated that they're going to be offended no matter what you do. They're going to talk shit no matter what you do. So I'm not going to spend the rest of my life in silence, not doing my passion, which is creating content. Have you ever noticed that when people put you on a pedestal, your passions are no longer your own? So there are literally people trying to police how I do one of my passions, which is content creation. Oh, why create this content at all? There's no point to this content, basically, was one of the critiques. Oh, if some people feel self-harmed by this content, or if some people feel off for watching this content, then like, why are you even creating content, Exoticals United? So now I'm apparently not allowed to do my passions, and I'm not allowed to express my creativity because some random Joe Blow or some random person on the internet is offended by it. And this is why I say some people, they literally just get mad because they don't want you to have a voice. They're threatened by the fact that you are articulate. They're threatened by the fact that you're gaining prominence. This channel has actually reached more than 3 million views total now, thanks in part to people like Chrissy for responding to me, thanks in part to the people who make videos about me and stuff. So that's really what it is. It's the fact that we are finally gaining a lot of prominence. And this is going to become a mainstream conversation, by the way, because at this point we have what, like 40 or 50 different channels where there are other women who have similar experiences, whether they're dark-skinned exoticals, light-skinned exoticals, black exoticals, mixed black exoticals. So at this point, yes, this is absolutely going to become a mainstream conversation, and that's the real reason that people get mad. Something else that was said is like, if I talk about unambiguous women, whether it's celebrities or not, unambiguous women themselves are allowed to respond to me. And I 100% agree. And guess what? I'm allowed to respond back. And I will respond back as much as I want. At this point, I've got 600 videos up. I would love to continue receiving responses because your responses actually feed my content even more. This is like the 4th video that I'm recording today. I was actually done recording. After this, I'm getting ready to go play pool. But guess what? Now I get to record an entire video. I've got 40 minutes worth of content at this point because unambiguous women decided to respond to me. And so you're absolutely right. Unambiguous women have the right to create channels. You know, Chrissy has the right to have a channel. Queen Chama, I Am Aloho, Paris Milan. All of these women have a right to have a channel. They do. And I would never want their channels to actually be removed. I actually love the fact that their channels are here because their content also feeds into my content. Exotical tax. And so I'm actually glad that unambiguous women are responding to me because that's actually just going to make this channel stronger. Like I've already got hundreds of videos up and I'm going to continue having more videos because when unambiguous women respond, I get to respond back. That's what a conversation is. That's a part of why I created the channel. It's so we can have a conversation. Conversation means you talk and the other person responds, then you respond back. That's what a conversation is called, sis. But I noticed that for some women, they never wanted to have a conversation. They just wanted to basically lecture other people, or they wanted to like shout from the mountaintops about how undesirable they were. And then they were hoping that apparently that people would date them out of pity or compliment them out of pity. And that is kind of what ended up happening for a lot of women. So another critique that someone said is that I moderate my comment section. And do you see what I mean when I talk about entitlement? So notice how every other content creator out of the hundreds of thousands of YouTube channels, every content creator I've ever come across moderates their comment section however they want. Some people have the comments turned off. I could turn off my entire comment section if I really wanted to, but I've noticed that I've literally got unambiguous black women critiquing me as if they feel like I owe them a space to comment as much as they want on my channel, to say whatever they want on my channel. And you guys already know that if you create a YouTube channel, you have the right to run it however you want to. Like when I go to unambiguous women's channels, especially if they're talking about something like colorism or whatever, if I insert myself into the conversation and I try to center myself in the conversation, or I try to center my perspective, I am going to either be ignored, sometimes I'll get blocked, or other times I've even been attacked in other people's comment section. And so instead of me begging others to represent my perspective in their comment section, I decided to make my own YouTube channel. But have you noticed how a lot of these women, they told us to give them their exclusive spaces, and then when we have an exclusive space, because by the way, with my comment section, actually anybody can comment as long as they are respectful towards myself. and as long as they are uplifting and creating an emotional safe space for myself and also for my core audience, which is Exoticals. Not to mention the fact that on the community page, actually, as this channel reached 10,000 subscribers, I actually did a poll where I asked the Pretty Girl Club, like, how do you guys want to handle unambiguous Black women on this channel, with them commenting and stuff. I even made a video, I think, about it a while ago. And you guys voted that you prefer that when it comes to the super, super long comments, kind of telling your life story or telling your perspectives and stuff, you guys preferred for the comment section to be more prioritizing of Exoticals when it comes to the super long comments and stuff. And so that's what I've been doing. And another thing that I've noticed is that, like, with this Black woman critiquing my channel and saying that, like, oh, you don't give unambiguous Black women a chance to come in your comment section and disagree. And it's like, well, yeah, that's because my comment section is not a place where you have the right to come and disagree. If you want to disagree, that's fine, but disagree from your channel. Exoticals have been gaslit about our experiences. You know, when we have tried to go into you guys' comment sections on your channels, then we have been accused of centering ourselves in the conversation or inserting ourselves in it or turning the conversation and making it about us. That has happened when we have gone into other YouTube channels and disagreed. And so do you see what I mean about the hypocrisy, to where it's like, oh, we can't go into their conversations because that's, you know, that's centering ourselves, or it's trying to, like, get attention. But then a Black woman gets mad because she feels like she's been silenced in my comment section. This is my channel that I spent years building. If it's that important for you to have a voice and for you to have a platform to speak your mind, then you would build your own platform. And especially if you feel strongly enough to the point where you're going to create like, at this point, people have created channels just so they could talk shit about Exoticals, or they have changed their content to mimic the content on this channel, or they've, like, tried to randomly make videos commenting on us. And it's like, yeah, you have the right to comment, but I also have the right to respond. And how I respond and when I want to be responded to, that is my business, because the comment section is supposed to be a safe space for me as well. Like, I'm not going to come into my own comment section and be lectured about, oh, this video was wrong and you shouldn't have done this and you shouldn't have said that and no, that's incorrect and my experience was this and here's my life story and this is what I think about you guys. No. You got me all the way fucked up if you think that's what this is, because you're not going to bully me. I'm not your puppet. You can't bully me and coerce me into granting you access to my comment section. Like, I get to pick and choose whose comments I want to keep up. I get to pick and choose who I want to moderate, who I want to not moderate, who I want to block from commenting. And so I've noticed that the only people who get mad about being blocked from commenting are the people who were attempting to use my comment section as their soapbox. That's what a lot of people do when they don't know how to build their own communities. They will try to go to a large creator's platform like myself. I'm not even that big, but they'll try to go to a larger content creator's platform and use their comment section as their own personal stage so that they can try to attempt to sway people in their favor and, like, get them to maybe subscribe to their channel or go and listen to them. And it's like, no, that's not what my comment section is. My comment section is not a place where it's open for you to come in and attack either myself or the Exoticals, or for you to even come in and invalidate what we're saying. And so when people say, oh, well, you should allow people to disagree in your comment section, I don't have to do anything that I don't want to do. You should be happy that you are even able to comment in my comment section. I don't owe you shit. And that's the exact mindset that I'm talking about. It's like, if people put you on a pedestal, that's proof that my pedestal is in the sky, because literally I can't even do my passion, content creation, without someone trying to police it and say, well, you need to allow me to comment and that's not fair. You're excluding unambiguous women from telling their life stories in your comment section. And I don't like the Exotical Storytime series. I don't want to hear the story times of dark-skinned mixed women. I don't care about them. I don't want to hear about light-skinned Black women. So do you see what I'm talking about? Like, people will literally, they will beg you to be their representation. They will get mad when you don't represent them. They will want you to be their stepping stone and subscribe to their YouTube channels, listen to their perspectives, listen to what they have to say, and then they'll kick you out and say, hey, stop centering yourself in the colorism conversation. So then when you make your own YouTube channel, now suddenly they're mad when they get kicked out, or if they don't get to comment like how they want to. So it's like, not only do you want your own YouTube channels, your own exclusive spaces, but then you want to be able to come over here and tell me how to moderate my comment section. Do you see the entitlement? And also, another reason why I don't let people just come in my comment section and lecture me is because when I create a YouTube video, I don't create YouTube videos on this channel so that I can argue back and forth in my own comment section unpaid. Like, no, if we are going to have a conversation, you need to get on my level and create a video, or you can feel free to comment on some other channel or comment on another, like comment on somebody else's space. And then if I choose to respond, I can. But the audacity is out of this world because it's like, okay, so you want to be able to control the type of content I make, and also you want to be able to control my comment section on a YouTube channel where I put my blood, sweat, and sparkle into. And when I create content, my agenda for my content is to be heard. Okay, that's my number one agenda when I create a video. My agenda is not to argue back and forth with random people on the internet in my own comment section. That's not the main agenda when I create my videos. I have specific times that I do like response videos, and that's not what my whole channel is around, because a lot of us Exoticals and a lot of pretty girls have not had safe spaces. And so this is our one safe space where we get to be heard, where nobody argues back and forth. Oh, you guys are delusional. You're being shallow. That's not pretty privilege. Nobody cares about your experience. No, we've already had that experience in real life, hence why we decided to create our own exclusive spaces to begin with. So it's like, if you don't like that, bitch, nobody's asking you to be here. Nobody's holding a gun to your head, forcing you to subscribe to the channel or to get all riled up and emotionally dysregulated because you don't like that you don't get to comment and lecture us on how to run our shit. It's funny because when it comes to this channel, people have tried to say like, oh, you're not like us, you know, that sort of thing, where it's like, you don't get to tell us how to run our community. Okay, so now I'm keeping the same energy. You don't get to tell me how to run my comment section. You don't get to tell me how to run my YouTube channel. You don't get to come to the Exotical space and tell us how to run our community. We get to respond however and whenever we want to. We get to block anyone at any time for any reason, hence the reason why YouTube created the block button in the first place. It doesn't say on the YouTube community guidelines, oh no, you have to allow everybody to come in your comment section and argue with you, otherwise you're being mean and you're being unfair and you're censoring them. Do you see what I mean? It's like people are saying that I'm censoring them because I'm not allowing them to come in and argue. And it's like, first of all, why are you giving me so much social power to the point where you think that I have the power to actually censor your voice? If you're that articulate and you have that much of a voice, where's your channel? Where are your subscribers? Where's your Patreon and all that stuff? Where's your podcast? And this is proof that they put this community on a pedestal, because instead of going over to Chrissy's channel or somebody else's channel and saying, hey, this is what the Exoticals have done and this is how I feel about it, instead of actually going to their own safe spaces, oh no, they'd rather come over here and try to coerce me and attempt to bully me into moderating my comment section a certain way. And by the way, I am going to be choosing some new mods soon. So I'll probably comment and like let you know that you've become a mod. And one of the critiques I got is like, oh, she gets to say whatever she wants about unambiguous women. And it's like, yeah, that's called freedom of speech, sis. So you're literally mad that I have freedom of speech. You're mad because I get to say what I want on here. And that's actually not true. You actually don't get to really say whatever you want on YouTube. You get to say whatever you want that falls within the community guidelines, which is what I've been doing. Oh, well, she just gets to say whatever she wants to say about unambiguous black women. That doesn't make any sense, because you guys get to say whatever you want about light-skinned black women or about dark-skinned Exoticals. You guys get to say whatever you want all the time. Another thing somebody said was, you're making points that are offensive to others, including making talking points that are offensive to men, such as my decentering men content. It's like, okay, this goes back to the talking point about why you are focusing on a YouTube channel that has so many things that offend you. Like if the Storytime series is offensive, if you not being able to comment is offensive, if me decentering men is offensive, once again, that really doesn't make logical sense as to why you would get so upset and then continue watching the channel. And I've heard people say, oh, you can't make decentering men content and then get mad when men respond. And it's like, that's not getting mad. Me responding back or me questioning somebody who questions me, that's not getting mad. It's not like I'm not allowed to do that. So if I make decentering men content and then men want to act dusty and have live streams about me, then I get to ask them, well, why did you watch the content? Or like, why are you here? I have the right to question anybody, just like how you have the right to question me. So just like how you want to say, why are you making decentering men content? I get to say, why are you watching decentering men content? See how that works? And people will be like, oh, it's because you're speaking negatively about men that you don't date, or you're speaking negatively about men that you don't like. And it's like, well, yeah, because I have the right to speak negatively on something where I felt like they did something negative towards me. And have you ever noticed how, like, when it comes to all the other channels on YouTube, oh no, those channels, nobody cares about the negativity on those channels. No one cares that, like, they are literally making dark-skinned black women look like they're all a monolith. Oh yeah, that's not a big deal. Out of all of the hundreds of millions of channels on YouTube, I have to police Exoticals United and tell her that her content is negative because she talks about decentering men. That is negative. How dare you talk about that? You're such a negative person. How dare you talk about these story times where they're telling stories about being bullied? That is negative content. And it's like, are you keeping that same energy with all of the other YouTube channels that you find to be negative? Like, are you making videos about them? Are you talking shit about them? Are you commenting negatively on them? Or is it just me? Exotical tax. Another thing I've heard is like, I'm a hypocrite, or, you know, we're being hypocritical. Just everything we do is just hypocritical in general. So having our own space is like hypocritical. I guess talking about decentering men and then also discussing things like pretty privilege is hypocritical. Okay, and your point? It's like, if you think that we're hypocrites because we talk about a variety of subjects from a variety of perspectives, then okay, that's fine. I have no problem with you thinking that I'm a hypocrite. Okay, now what? Are you happy now? Like, I'm still here. Nothing bad happened to my channel. No, I didn't blow up. No, I didn't burst into flames. And I've noticed that there's this insecurity that other women have, and they think that by calling out my supposed flaws, that somehow I'm just going to get scared and like get off YouTube. Oh, and another thing that I've heard is like, oh, Exoticals United, she's quick to jump on the microphone whenever she has to clap back or whenever she wants to clap back at someone. And of course, she doesn't come on the camera. And it's like, okay, so now you're talking about my anonymity. Whenever you actually do something smart and strategic and you come onto YouTube anonymously so that you can talk your shit, just like how other content creators have come on here anonymously and talk their shit, then suddenly you want to make it like, oh my God, that's so bad. Oh my God, that's so like stupid and pathetic. Like, how dare you be anonymous? And it's like, bitch, first of all, I can do whatever the fuck I want. And secondly, when you're commenting in people's comment sections and stuff, I mean, technically you do have some anonymity there as well. I mean, even if you are showing your picture, you could be using a filter on your picture. You could be lightening your picture 25 shades to where you look like a different person. I mean, there are people who use so many beauty enhancements to the point where they are literally anonymous in real life. So, I mean, what are you talking about? If you want to be the anonymity police, are you going to police everybody who you feel is, you know, not being authentic enough or not proving their identity to you? And why is it that as soon as Exoticals start talking, and especially because we're doing a good job, like talking about pretty privilege and stuff, then suddenly it's, oh, you need to prove to me that you're pretty. You need to prove to me that you can talk this much shit. Because I've noticed that women who feel like they're at the bottom, they have this mindset of, you have to have a certain level of beauty in order to be able to be confident. And so because I come on here and I represent myself with confidence, then suddenly it's like, oh no, you being anonymous invalidates you. You're being a little bit too articulate, Exoticals United. You're being a little bit too confident. I don't like that. And so I'm going to need you to prove your identity to me. I'm going to need you to prove who you are so that I can judge you and decide for myself if I think you're worthy or if you're pretty enough or if you're smart enough. I need to be able to decide if you're worthy to talk about this or have a YouTube channel. And it's like, when it comes to anonymous content creators, people don't owe you their identity. Do you see what I mean about the extreme entitlement? Like, okay, so you're entitled to my comment section. You should be able to come in and say whatever you want. You're entitled to what I get to talk about. So supposedly I should now be banned from talking about unambiguous celebrities. I'm not allowed to be anonymous. Do you see how when people put you in a pedestal, it's almost like they're trying to live vicariously through you, or they want to control you. They want to control your gifts and control your creativity to where it's like they want you to just be a puppet for them. And it's not going to work, sis. And then somebody was like, oh, By talking about men, like with my decentering men content, or by talking about unambiguous black women, they're gonna be a part of your audience, whether you like it or not. Well, no shit, Sherlock. What do you think they're gonna do if I make content about them? I talk about this all the time. I get paid off of making my content. So, yeah, if you wanna rage bait and hate watch me, thanks for watching, bitch. The money's going in my pockets. So I don't really care who watches or at what point they watch. So, I mean, if you want to watch me and get triggered, or if you want to watch my decentering men content and you're mad about that, that's fine because it's money going into my pocket at the end of the day. My channel continues to go up in the algorithm with you watching me. And so I actually could care less about who, like, if you're an unambiguous woman watching me, if you're a white person, a black person, a man, a woman, like whoever watches me is still going to help this community to grow. It's going to help the Exoticals and our talking points to go mainstream. So that's really not the diss you think it is. Oh, well, men are going to watch your channel whether you like it or not because you're talking about men by talking about decentering them. Oh, unambiguous women who disagree with you, they're going to watch your channel. They're your audience whether you like it or not. Bitch, an audience is an audience. Money is money. What are you talking about? Like, anybody with that mindset is not socially strategic. That's like saying, oh, well, Jeff Bezos, your audience on Amazon, they're going to be people who don't like you. Jeff Bezos would be like, bitch, I'm still a billionaire. I'm still making money. It's like, who cares who's watching, who's not watching? I mean, I want my core audience to watch, which they already are. So I've already succeeded at speaking on behalf of my own experiences, and we've already succeeded about the exotical stories, our story times, getting out to the world. So saying that, oh, there are people hate watching you, as if I'm supposed to get scared, like, oh my God, people are hate watching me. Oh my gosh, I have to get off YouTube now because there are people who disagree with me. No, you're not going to be able to bully me off YouTube. I'm not scared of people hate watching me. I'm not scared of like angry men watching my channel or like angry women who disagree with my content. Another thing someone said is, wouldn't you want men to watch your decentering men content if those men are so bad and they're in need of course correction? No, because anyone who actually studies sociology or psychology would understand that you don't just watch a YouTube video and then suddenly, oh my God, my bipolar is cured and I'm no longer a psychopath and narcissist because I just watched Exoticals United's decentering men video. So that's also a dumb comment. Oh, well, wouldn't you want men to watch your decentering men content so they can change? Well, no, because I'm not stupid enough to think that all it takes is a simple YouTube video for 35 years worth of trauma and psychopathy to suddenly disappear into thin air. This is not a brainwashing channel. Like, this is another proof that some of these people who are like detractors of this community, they actually put us on a very high pedestal because the fact that you think that I have that much power, shouldn't you want men to watch your content? Because then they're going to suddenly change. Like, I'm just going to change 4 billion men all across the world by them watching my decentering men content. They're literally trying to diss me and say, oh, Exoticals United is stupid because she doesn't want men to watch her decentering men content, but they really should be watching it because then she would change how men behave. No, that's not how psychology works, babe. You don't just watch one YouTube video and then suddenly, oh, I'm a good guy now. And then someone's like, she's throwing stones and hiding her hands. Bitch, my hand is right here. I've got 600 videos worth of stones that I've gladly thrown and will continue to throw for the rest of my time here on YouTube. So how you like them apples? And then another thing said was, oh, it's not weird for men to respond to your decentering men content. Yeah, that's correct. It's not weird. Just like how it's not weird for me to respond to their response. So how you like them apples? You respond, I respond back. That's what a conversation is. Another idiotic comment was a comment like, oh, well, if you put people in the thumbnails, like if you put men in the thumbnails, or you put an unambiguous celebrity like Normani or somebody in the thumbnail, then those groups of people are going to respond. Well, no shit, Sherlock. That's why you make a YouTube channel where you talk about the things from your perspective. My whole point is to gain attention. Yeah, that's called getting clicks and views. It's called getting attention. It's called being heard. So obviously I've been heard loud and clear by you because you feel the need to respond, and then you're so upset that you're not welcome in my comment section. And that's another thing I've noticed. Have you guys noticed how, like, when it comes to our channels, people put them on such a high pedestal to the point where they will literally they'll get pissed that they're not allowed in our comment section, and then they'll make a channel or they'll make videos or live streams, talking their shit or talking from their perspective, and then they get shocked and mad and angry when we respond back. They're like, how dare you respond? How dare you go back and forth with me? And I think it's because a lot of people have been used to us just being quiet and kind of like sitting back, because we have had to jump through all these hoops to try to prove that we're not colorist or try to prove that we're humble or whatever. And it's like, you can call me whatever you want to call me, but I'm never going to stop talking. I have the right to respond as many times as I want. I can talk as much shit as I want. And as long as I'm following the YouTube guidelines, I don't see a problem. So how do you like them apples? Another critique I received is Exoticals United is teaching unambiguous Black women how to unlearn their inferiority complexes when she does not have the experience of an unambiguous Black woman. So my content about unlearning inferiority complexes is actually not created for anyone who's not my core audience. It's actually not created to teach unambiguous Black women. That Chrissy should have actually taught you that, or somebody else. Well, actually, not even Chrissy. Your mom should have taught you that. Your Black mothers and fathers and grandmothers and grandfathers, or your religious background, should have actually taught you that. What has happened is the fact that I have made good content on that has got me attention. And one of the side effects is that unambiguous Black women are overcoming their inferiority complexes. And who gonna check me? So basically, you're mad because I created content for Exoticals, and now you're mad that my audience has expanded beyond just Exoticals. So I noticed this is kind of an overarching theme with a lot of Black women who critique me. It's not that they're mad about me speaking from my experience. It's more so they're mad that my audience is expanding beyond what I thought that it would. Or they're mad that it's expanding beyond just Exoticals. They're mad that there are unambiguous Black women following my channel, that they're overcoming their inferiority complexes because of my content. They're mad whenever a monoracial Black woman can relate to my content and she gains value from my content. So they're actually mad because this channel has done a better job at attracting a broader audience at such an early stage. I only have 20,000 subscribers right now. Just wait until we get to 50K, 100K, until we keep going up. So that's really the reason that they're mad. It's because I'm attracting Black women, unambiguous Black women, who they thought could relate only to them. I've noticed that there's kind of this groupthink when it comes to a lot of unambiguous women. And so unambiguous women will get mad at other unambiguous women who are not followers and who happen to click on some of my videos, and then they overcome their inferiority complexes. So you're mad? Why would a Black woman get mad at another Black woman for overcoming her inferiority complexes? Oh, you're mad because she learned it from a light-skinned Black woman? You're mad because she learned it from a multiracial Black woman? So I've noticed that some unambiguous Black women have this possessiveness where it's almost as if they want to control the minds of their fellow Black women. I noticed that Chrissy actually did the same behavior. Chrissy got really mad when she found out that I had a Black audience, like unambiguous Black women. And then a lot of women also got mad when they found out that Exoticals, that it was actually never a race. It was never just about mixed race women. It also included Black women from the beginning. And so people are mad because this channel is helping unambiguous Black women, and they're also mad because I have white women and Indian women and stuff following this channel, and apparently that's making Black women look bad in front of white people. So that's what this is about. They don't want to look bad in front of white people. They want to have this false image, I guess, or they want to not be exposed in front of the white man. And also, they don't like the fact that unambiguous Black women are learning from a light-skinned devil like me. They don't like that they're learning from somebody that's not an unambiguous Black woman. Apparently, if you're an unambiguous dark-skinned Black woman, you're only allowed to watch YouTube videos of other unambiguous dark-skinned Black women. You're not allowed to subscribe to my channel. How dare you subscribe to the Exoticals United YouTube channel? And another thing that I've noticed people have brought up is, like, I say all the time that the women on this channel cannot relate to a lot of the experiences talked about on channels like Chrissy's, for example. And I understand that a channel like that, she does not represent the collective of unambiguous Black women, which is obvious because, I've got unambiguous Black women who follow this channel, who love Exoticals, who have no problem with us. And we're over here getting along and just chilling and minding our pretty girl business. But I've noticed that one of the critiques is, oh, well, Exoticals United, she distances herself from unambiguous Black women. She says that she can't relate because she has never been, she's never had that skin tone. She's never had that hair texture. And it's like, okay, so you're mad because unambiguous Black women are learning from someone who is not an unambiguous mono dark skinned Black woman? That's why you're mad? So you're mad at multiculturalism? So the thing that they were so desperate to teach in the divestment movement, you're mad at that. You're mad at multiculturalism, which basically means people from different backgrounds who can't relate finding something where they have a common ground or a common belief, or strategically navigating socially to where they can work together and make something happen. So you're literally showing that you are mad at multiculturalism. You're mad that light-skinned women and dark-skinned women are getting along on this channel. You're mad that there are dark-skinned Black women who don't share kind of the same level of traumas as you. You're mad that there are dark-skinned Black women who are learning from me, and you're insulted by that because you're like, oh my God, these dark-skinned Black women, they're abandoning these victim narratives, and Exoticals United is not qualified. She's not a mental health professional, and she also hasn't experienced the isms on the same level as unambiguous Black women, so she can't teach them anything. And that's idiotic. Do you go to university and say, because my teacher is white, I can't learn anything? Do you go to any professional or any creator of any kind and say, oh, because they can't relate to me, I can't interact with their content? No, people interact with content, whether it's music, whether it's videos, whether it's books. People interact with content with others who are different than them all the time. So that's actually pointing to your own ignorance, thinking that because I don't have the exact same experience and the exact same phenotype as Whoopi Goldberg, for example, that a Whoopi Goldberg type of woman can't possibly gain anything from being in this space. That's an ignorant statement. No, just because you can't gain anything from this space doesn't mean that there aren't 20,000 other people of all races who haven't gained anything from this space. Another thing someone said is she will kind of be catty at people and then acts confused when they're catty back. How am I acting confused? So me making an hour-long video, that's me being confused? Me destroying your talking points is me being confused? Please show me where the confusion is. If you're talking about me questioning the person, like saying, why are you watching decentering men content? I have the right to ask as many questions as I want. So if you associate questioning with automatically being confused, as opposed to questioning being in relation to introspection and analytical thinking, then that's your problem. See, this is what I'm talking about. You think that all questions are a monolith. You think that if somebody asks a question, they're automatically confused. When in reality, people ask questions to gain information. People ask questions to gain a deeper understanding of the person that they're questioning. So it's not like, oh my God, I'm just so confused. I'm just such an idiot. I'm just such a dumbass that I have no idea why people are commenting in my comment section. I have no idea what's going on. It's like, are you really that dense? I know that I am on a pedestal. We are the Pretty Girl Club. We're the Exoticals. So, of course, we're the shit. We are always the topic of conversation. So, of course, people are going to talk about us. Of course, people are going to respond. And guess what? We're going to respond back. So, if you troll an Exotical, you better be careful because we just might troll you back. And another thing is people are like, oh, heavily moderating your comments are... And also, that's interesting that they say heavily moderating comments. How do you know what's heavily moderated and what's not? I'm sorry, do you have the login to my YouTube Studio account? Do you have the login to all of the other YouTube Studio accounts? Do you know how many comments they are blocking on their channels? Because if you think that my comment section is heavily moderated on a channel that only has 20,000 subscribers, not only are you not a critical thinker, but it's like, I'm heavily moderated in comparison to who? The only difference between myself and all the other content creators is that I will expose, I have no problem saying, oh yeah, I blocked these people, or yeah, I moderated their comments. Most content creators, they don't even tell you shit. They just block your ass, or they remove you. So at least I'm actually coming out here and saying, oh yeah, I will moderate it, or I'll block it, or I prioritize this in my comment section. So it's like, not only do we not owe you an explanation for you not having comments, but saying that it's heavily moderated, Heavily moderated in comparison to who? Point fingers and name names. What channels are you comparing me to? And do you have their YouTube Studio login so that you can compare and count comments? Like, oh, okay, she got 50 comments, she deleted 50 comments. Like, that's actually an idiotic talking point because you don't have anything to back that up. All you have to back that up is my words, and you really have no one to compare it to. You have no proof of my words. You actually really have no idea how many comments I moderate versus not moderate. So, nice try. And another thing someone said is, if you're so concerned about there being a conversation, why are you censoring criticism? So, when it comes to criticism and censoring, define what your standards are for censoring criticism. Because just because you think that me not allowing people to come in my comments and argue back and forth, just because you consider that to be censoring criticism, guess what? You're not me, bitch. I get to respond to criticism or ignore it however much I want. So if that makes me a hypocrite, that's totally fine. I am a proud hypocrite. I embrace being a hypocrite. I am proudly catty. That's another thing. Oh, well, she's talking in a catty tone. She's being mean. Oh my God, you can't say that, Exoticals United. That's so mean. It's like, I have no problem being seen as the villain. Everybody who is a pioneer is going to be seen as the villain at first. So when you are kind of building a grassroots movement, kind of like how we're doing over here, of course we are seen as the villain for now. But guess what? Some of the same people who are subscribed to my channel now, those same people used to hate me a year ago, and 2 years ago, and 3 years ago. Some of the same people who were on my channel under different account names, because I'm not an idiot. So for some people, they used to be some of my biggest detractors on this channel, but they're now subscribing to me because that's what happens. That's a part of how society works. Stuff will start off as like kind of this fringe thing where everybody's criticizing it at first, and then it becomes trendy over time, or it becomes like more popular or kind of more mainstream, and then it may go back down again. Things ebb and flow. That's just how life works. And also when it comes to the colorism conversation, I have a right to engage in my freedom of speech however I want to. So just because you're mad that you couldn't come in and control my comment section or make it into your own personal soapbox, that doesn't mean that like I'm suddenly doing it wrong or I'm doing something wrong. And if you think I'm doing something wrong, stay mad, bitch, because I'm still here. My channel's still here. The subscribers are still here. The videos are still here. So now what? How you like them apples? And then another thing that people have said is like, oh, you guys are just creating your own echo chamber, like in the same way that Chrissy or all these other people did. First of all, tell me the difference between a community and an echo chamber. I'll wait. Because a lot of times people will come towards us and they'll have this talking point of, well, this is just an echo chamber. And it's like, bitch, first of all, even if it is an echo chamber, so what? I already said at the beginning of this channel, I'm going to create the biggest pretty girl echo chamber that you have ever heard of and that you've ever seen. So just because you think it's an echo chamber, that doesn't invalidate the talking points, that doesn't invalidate this space. I have a right to make as many echo chambers as I choose. We can echo each other as much as we want to, and we love it. And we love coming in our comment section and saying, oh my God, I can relate to you. Oh yeah, I can relate to that too. Oh my gosh, I'm decentering men as well. So we like our quote unquote echo chamber, if that's what you think it is. And also saying that our conversations are an echo chamber over here and like it makes it ineffective. Ineffective to who, bitch? Just because you ain't getting shit from this YouTube channel, that doesn't mean that other women are having the same experience. So guess what? The numbers don't lie. The women's mental health doesn't lie. So it's like, if you feel like it's ineffective, that's just your opinion. So guess what? Your opinion doesn't determine my worth. It doesn't determine the worth of the Exotical community. It doesn't determine the worth or value of what we have over here. Just like how my opinion doesn't determine the worth of Chrissy's channel or of the Black Women Empowerment channels. And I've said that a million times. Like, I'm still subscribed to all of them. I will never come on here and say, you guys shouldn't subscribe to any of these content creators. No, because that's weird to me. It's giving brainwashing type of behavior. That's giving groupthink behavior. And you know what's also ineffective? Spending all of your time focusing on what Exoticals are doing as opposed to building your own community, since you seem to be so concerned about it. So it's like, if you feel like this community is kind of censoring unambiguous Black women, or it's somehow making them look bad in front of white people, well, if you're so concerned about looking good in front of white women, and you're so concerned about Normani and Kelly Rowland and all these celebrities looking good, then bitch, where's your community at? Where's your YouTube channel at promoting these women and making yourselves look good in front of non-black people? I mean, where is your community where you're doing that, since you're so concerned about it? And since you are such an expert on being effective, like, oh, well, Exoticals United, all of that community is ineffective. Okay, well, if you're the expert on what makes a community effective, then do it. It's always the people that are sitting on the sidelines that are not doing shit who talk the most shit. So I can talk my shit, but I also give respect where respect is due. So yeah, I am going to talk my shit about whoever I want, Chrissy or Cynthia G or whoever, but I still know how to give them respect where respect is due. I can still say out of my mouth that they create some good content, but I've noticed that some people, they don't want to give Exoticals their flowers because, you know, the jealousy is already overcoming them. So they have a hard time admitting that our content is actually good over here. So they'd rather try to pretend like, oh, everything is just so ineffective. Oh, okay, so a channel that has 3 million views. Oh my God, it's just so ineffective. Nothing is effective. It's just so worthless. Why do you have this space? You don't need this space. It's such an echo chamber. Another thing that I've heard people say about the Exotical space is this is a divisive, you know, this whole thing is divisive. Me having a YouTube channel, that's divisive. Talking about my background or us talking about our experiences, that's divisive. Okay, well then I'm divided, bitch. Now what? I'm still here with my divisive ass. I'm still making YouTube videos with my divisive ass. And I'm still talking shit with my divisive ass. Welcome to the Exoticals divided community. And I've noticed also that people use that term divisive as a gaslighting term because something that happens is if you have a lot of people with a lot of different experiences, if you have a lot of stuff going on in general, what you do is you begin to organize into smaller groups. Think about how, let's say you're organizing your closet or something like that, and you have a big mess in there. Well, what's one of the main ways that you organize stuff? You buy some dividers. Yeah, that's right. So you have to be divisive if you actually want to be organized. Organization requires some form of division. So if I'm divisive, so be it. I have no problem being called divisive. I have no problem dividing myself away from the types of mindset that I don't want to be associated with, which is a victim mindset, which is being at the bottom of society. Hell yeah, I'm dividing my shit from that. Hell yeah, I'm taking out the scissors. I'm cutting that shit off. I am dividing the fuck away from an inferiority complex. So how you like them apples? And then someone's like, oh, is that what you want to do, Exoticals United? You just want to line your pockets by dividing MLS women and unambiguous women? First of all, hell yes, I want to line my pockets. I deserve to be paid for my work, my creativity, and my content just like anybody else that's on YouTube. I am a fantastic content creator. My talking points are great. The research that it takes for this channel is well worth every penny. In fact, I believe that I should be getting paid even more, and I look forward to getting paid more in the future. So guess what? You're talking about me lining my pockets. Meanwhile, you're probably waking up every day, going to a job to line your pockets. You're probably investing money into something to line your pockets. So notice how whenever somebody wants to make you look like a bad person, instead of talking about them lining their pockets or making money, now they're trying to use another ism. They're trying to say, oh, Exoticals United, you know, you're benefiting from classism. You're benefiting from capitalism because you're making money off of your YouTube channel. Bitch, and? Of course I'm making money off my YouTube channel, and I will continue to do so. And now what? Who gonna check me? And the same people that say, oh, well, you're just trying to line your pockets, those people would trade places with you if they could. Those people would trade dollars with you if they could. If those people were talented enough to have their own voice or to have their own community or to be smart enough to actually have talking points that are not idiotic, then they would line their pockets as well. And so why is it that all of these other content creators deserve to get paid, or, you know, that's no problem for them to have money? It's no problem for the Black empowerment women to have money by quote unquote dividing, you know, because if I'm dividing, then technically all of the YouTube channels on YouTube are divisive because we all exist in an autonomous way. None of us, we're not all unified. All of the hundreds of millions of YouTube channels, oh no, we all have different talking points. So that's technically divisive. By your logic, all of us on YouTube are divisive. All human beings who exhibit any form of individuality that separates itself from a group, that is technically divisive. by definition. So are you keeping the same energy with all of the other channels on YouTube who are getting paid, or is it only against me? But no, another thing that I noticed is, or another critique I got is, oh, she creates a lot of content about unambiguous black women, despite her core audience being exoticals. First of all, who died and made you the YouTube marketing guru? Because last time I checked, I'm in charge of my channel. I'm the one who has access to my analytics. And actually, I went through my videos recently, within the past month. Like, people have said, oh, I'm taking a break from exotical content or watching it. And then I will be thinking, wait a minute, only about 50% of my videos are exotical content specifically. So I actually went into my own analytics and I checked out, what are my main videos, what are the majority of my videos, what kind of balance do I have on this channel, and I actually have a very, very strong variety of content on this channel. So variety channels, they do tend to grow a little bit slower in terms of subscriber count, but it's a lifesaver once you get bigger, because your audience already knows you for talking about a multitude of topics. So you're never going to have that thing where it's like you get stuck talking about one thing, or you feel like your YouTube channel is kind of like the new 9 to 5. For those of you who are familiar with, I think his name is like Armand Wiggins or Arnell Wiggins or something along those lines, but he actually talked about this on his YouTube channel because he had a celebrity commentary channel, and his analytics and his niche, he was very, very niche down to where that's the main thing he talked about. And so when he tried to get out of it, basically it got to the point where he was starting to feel trapped and suffocated by his own content. And this happens a lot actually with content creators. So they will only create one type of content, and then as the years go by, if they are no longer passionate about that, or if they don't want to talk about that, they can feel stuck and trapped because they were so into talking about that at one point. So this talking point that like the majority of my content is about unambiguous black women, it's actually not, because I actually audited my channel recently, and no, that's actually false. This channel has a very strong presence in the decentering men talking points or whatever, as far as pretty privileged content and creating your own internalized beauty standard and talking about the sociology. First of all, sociology in general. I can't really think of a lot of other channels on YouTube that discuss sociology, which is the study of society, from my perspective. I noticed that some women, they have social commentary channels, or they kind of get into politics and stuff a little bit more. But my channel is unique in a way that it doesn't do that. And I'm the only one who really talks about this. Well, this exotical space is the only space that talks about society and kind of like our experiences in society and talking about it from the perspective of an MLS woman. So to say that the majority of my content is only about unambiguous black women, that's actually false. But I will say, though, this is a blackness-centered channel, just in general. So yes, I am going to continue to talk about black women, black men, the black race, the black experience. I've talked even about like HBCUs and stuff on this channel. And who gonna check me? So saying things like, oh, you say your audience is MLS women, but every single video, you have to make every single video only about exoticals. How dare you make decentering men videos? How dare you talk about pretty privilege? How dare you tell your own random story times and talk about zodiac signs? You're not allowed to do that because your core audience is exoticals. You're only allowed to make content on that one exact topic. How dare you? Get out of line, Exoticals United. Stop talking about other stuff. That's not fair. How dare you be a multifaceted person? But another talking point I got is, so when I did the Normani video, I critiqued the black women content creators for not promoting her and talking about her. And then the person who critiqued me, she was like, oh, well, Exoticals United, you don't make content promoting MLS women. You should be talking about, I guess maybe like Tinashe's album or somebody like that. I should be talking more so about their albums. But guess what, sis? I don't have to, because unambiguous women are already doing the job for me. So because unambiguous women pedestalize celebrities like Beyonce or Rihanna or anyone who does not look exactly like them and doesn't show her 4C hair and all that. So because of that, I don't even need to do that because, the pedestal in that area and the promotion in that area is so high. There's such a huge promotion that unambiguous women do by constantly talking about exoticals to the point where there's not even a need for me to do that. And also, even if there was, though, even if that talking point was correct, once again, it's my life. This is my freedom of speech. I'm not your puppet. So you don't get to come and tell me how to run my YouTube channel. You don't get to tell me who I have to talk about, who I don't have to talk about. Just like how I don't get to tell you that you have to talk about Normani. You don't have to talk about Normani. I mean, if you want to ignore Normani like how you ignored Kelly Rowland, go right ahead. I mean, I really don't care. All I'm doing is creating content and talking my shit. So you have the right to talk shit about me, and I have the right to respond to the shit talking. And to get my exotical tags, and to line my pockets because of your shit talking, because your shit talking feeds into my content. It helps me to line my quote unquote pockets by dividing people even more. Another thing that someone said is, so I made content about Nara Smith, and I made a video where I think they called Nara Smith a pit bull, or, black women were making fun of Nara Smith's black features. And this person was saying, she made content about Nara Smith so that she could drag black women and like point out their flaws. Damn right. No shit, Sherlock. Yeah, that's what my channel does. That's one of the agendas of my channel, is to point out the internalized anti-blackness and the internalized colorism, texturism, and featurism that I see within the black community, and I will continue to do so. And then something else that a person said is like, I was dragging Onezwa, or kind of like being mean towards Onezwa because of Onezwa's blackness. And I even said in that video that I personally consider Onezwa to actually still be a light-skinned monoracial black woman, especially in comparison to the native, South African people with jet black ebony skin tones. And so that video that I did about Nara Smith and Onezwa, the reason that I did that video is because it was a psychological jackpot, in the sense that Onezwa was actually, she was having this inferiority complex based on classism. And another point that I made with that, with the whole Nara Smith thing, was that it was not about colorism. I noticed that the black community, they tried to make it about colorism when it wasn't. That was about classism. And so I proved that in that video. Another thing I've noticed is when it comes to some of the black women that critique my channel, I notice some of them have this insecurity about being seen in a bad light. And if you're that insecure about being seen in a bad light to the point where you don't want me to make any videos referencing you whatsoever, I would say, number one, that's unrealistic. People are going to use their freedom of speech. You're basically saying that you don't want people to have freedom of speech when it comes to talking about unambiguous black women. You're saying that any critique or any disagreement with a black woman is hate speech. So if I have a different opinion about Nara Smith, that's hate speech. If I have a different opinion about Normani, it's hate speech. But if people spend decades on YouTube making videos about mixed race celebrities, or light-skinned black women, or dark-skinned women who have been accused of benefiting from featurism and texturism, oh, that's not hate speech. They can do whatever they want. They can have as much freedom of speech as they want to. They can call people ramen noodle head ass bitches. They can call people cicadas and roaches and say they look like pit bulls and say that chili from TLC is burnt. They can say whatever they want. And that's freedom of speech. But when Exoticals United says anything, she's not allowed to say that because she's trying to only make these videos so she can drag unambiguous black women. So it's like, okay, you don't like my decentering men content. You don't like my content critiquing unambiguous black women. Just admit that you don't like when somebody critiques unambiguous black women and move on. Because that's really what this is about. You don't like being critiqued. You don't like when people disagree with you. You actually don't like the spotlight. You actually do have the fear of being seen. Anybody who thinks like this, you actually have the fear of being seen, because a part of what comes with being seen is you get a lot of criticism. Just like me. I get criticism all the time, and I actually thrive off of criticism, because at this point, I've got an hour and 30-minute video. My watch time is going to skyrocket. By the way, watch time, if you're a content creator, your watch time is actually what makes your channel go up in the algorithm. So I'm going to be gaining thousands of minutes of watch time based on a criticism. So this is why I say that I actually love when people critique me, because I love clapping back, because it actually makes my watch time go up even further. But if you are saying that you're mad because you don't want me to critique Normani or Kelly Rowland or whoever, what you're really saying is you want to remain invisible. So have you ever noticed that a lot of unambiguous women, they will say they want the spotlight, they want to be seen, they want the representation. Okay, but a part of what comes with that is, yeah, people are going to spotlight your flaws, they're going to spotlight your hypocrisy, kind of like how people do to me. And so I welcome when people spotlight me. It's like, thank you. It's free promotion. It helps my channel. Like I said, the channel just passed 3 million views. We just passed 20K. But suddenly when I keep the same energy with you, it's, oh no, you shouldn't critique unambiguous Black women. You can't critique them. And it's like, okay, so you want them to remain invisible or what? Because on the one hand, you're mad that you're not included on this channel. And then when you are included, you don't like how you look, particularly in front of white people who watch my channel. And then also, when it came to the Nara Smith Onezwa thing, one critique I got about that is like, I'm trying to make Onezwa look like she's this poor, impoverished African woman who's just kind of like, those commercials where they show the starving African children. In fact, I referenced this in the video. And the reason I said that was because Onezwa herself is the one that randomly kept bringing up money and randomly kept bringing up her lack of money and how Nara Smith was getting paid off of TikTok. So yes, I stand 10 toes down on what I said. I absolutely believe that Onezwa is jealous and wants to trade places with Nara Smith in terms of wealth. I am not backing down on that, nor will I ever back down really on anything I've ever said on this channel. I'm not apologizing. Nobody's ever going to be able to coerce or bully me into apologizing for anything that I've ever said or done or laughed at on this channel. And so I stand 10 toes down. I believe that Onezwa wants to have the level of wealth that Nara Smith has. I believe that Onezwa is poor in comparison to Nara Smith, or at least she seems to believe that she is because she kept bringing it up randomly. I said what I said. And another critique I got is like, I'm being biased against Africans, by making that video about Onezwa and Nara Smith. And it's like, well, Onezwa is biased against South Africans because Onezwa talked about how South Africans don't get paid for the TikTok videos. So if she is the one saying it, like, oh yeah, they don't get paid or they're kind of underprivileged in terms of payment for TikTok, and I agree with it, suddenly I'm wrong for agreeing with it. And that means that I'm being biased and classist if you are African. And it's like, I'm not scared of being called a classist. I'm not scared of being called any sort of ist. Colorist, texturist, featurist, classist, racist, misandrist, whatever. People are going to name call me no matter what I say. And it's like, I'm going to continue to talk about this stuff. And then also, another critique I got was like, oh, instead of talking about Normani not charting, why not talk about Halle Bailey, who I guess didn't chart either? Why not talk about that and kind of like promote Halle Bailey? Well, because like I said, Halle Bailey is, in my opinion, more visible still than Normani. I believe that women of my phenotype, or women who are actually accused of benefiting from isms, colorism, texturism, or featurism, are going to be made visible by unambiguous Black women. I had no idea what was going on with Halle Bailey. I know Halle Bailey as kind of being this Little Mermaid icon, this Disney princess icon. So Halle Bailey's status, in my opinion, is still more memorable. She's got more of a legacy already than somebody like Normani. So that's actually a moot point. And also, once again, I don't have to create videos about what I don't want to create videos on. This is my content. I get to utilize my creativity however I see fit. So if I want to talk about unambiguous Black women, I can talk about them. And I'm going to continue to do so, by the way, because guess what? The Black community is my community. The white community is my community. The Hispanic community is my community. And who gonna check me? All of those people are my people. All of those communities are my communities. And also this talking point of, oh, why not make more videos promoting Tyla or promoting all these other MLS artists, since that's what your channel is about? Well, because I get paid off of talking about unambiguous Black women like yourself. I get paid and I get a lot of clout by continuously speaking the unspoken and by being one of the only ones who is willing to call out the hypocrisies that I see within my own Black female community. And so, of course, I'm going to talk about the hypocrisies that I see in unambiguous Black women. That's one of the agendas of my channel, because I've noticed that, like I said, the conversation has really been one sided. And so, of course, I'm going to talk about that. And I'm going to keep doing it. So, people calling it out saying, you're talking about unambiguous black women. Well, no shit, Sherlock. Of course I am. And then another argument is, oh, Chloe, because I talked about Chloe the singer and how a lot of people popularize Chloe more than Ari Lennox. To this day, I know more of Chloe. I don't know either of their albums. Like, I don't have, or I've never listened to a full album from Ari Lennox or Chloe. But Chloe is more visible to me. And I think a big part of that is because unambiguous black women hype her up. I think another part of it is also because she's very talented. She's a really good singer. In my opinion, she's a better singer than Ari Lennox. But I guess Chloe, like, one of the critiques that I got is like that Chloe flopped, I guess, or Chloe's music didn't chart. And so, like, why don't I talk about the failures of Chloe? Well, because this channel's agenda is not to talk about the failures of MLS women. So do you see what I mean? Why don't unambiguous black women talk about their failures to divest? Why don't unambiguous black women talk about how interracial marriage is at a low percentage rate, way lower than what they think it is? Why don't they talk about that? Why don't they talk about their flaws? You know, like, I can keep the same energy with you. The reason that you guys don't talk about your flaws is because obviously you don't feel like that's uplifting to your own community. And unfortunately, you guys have done a lot of other things that are not uplifting, but whatever. So, of course, I'm not going to go out of my way to talk about the flaws of MLS women on a consistent basis on a channel that is not meant to do that. That doesn't even go with the agendas of my channel. And by the way, I have the right to change the agendas of my channel at any given time. I have the right to make whatever content I want. So, how you like them apples? And then I noticed that another critique is like, people are saying, oh, well, Tyla is like flopping, or Ice Spice is flopping, you know, whatever MLS celebrities that they're flopping. So they're like, why don't I talk about all of these women's flops? And it's like, if you're so concerned with promoting the flops of MLS women, I mean, Queen Chama is talking about it. You know, like, if you're so concerned with promoting MLS women flopping, by all means, make your own channel and promote that flopping. I am not required to run my channel in the way that you want me to run it. So you don't get to come over here and start running shit on my channel. You don't get to come over here and say, oh, Exoticals United, you're supposed to be doing this for MLS women. You're supposed to be doing that for MLS women. No, bitch, I can do whatever the fuck I want. I can delete all my videos tomorrow and restart my channel as something totally new, like Armand Wiggins did. I can remove my channel. I can continue the content the way it is. So saying things like, oh, you made this video and not that one, that's actually not a very valid argument, because it still doesn't invalidate the talking points that I already have. Another critique I got was like, with unambiguous women kind of trying to bully Tyla into claiming blackness, to the point where Tyla actually had to come out and make like a PR statement. So this happens all the time, where because of the one drop rule, people will try to bully a singer or an actress into claiming blackness because they want to be able to clout chase off of her. And I pointed this out in a previous video, and then somebody's like, oh, well, the people who don't like your channel, they say that Tyla is not black. And it's like, okay, sis, just because 5 or 10 people from some tiny ass YouTube channels that are literally created to be opposite of mine, just because those channels said that, I'm talking about things that happen on a larger scale, sis. So Tyla was bullied about her race, and people were going back and forth about that and stuff. And so that's why I talked about that. So just because a small minority of black women are acknowledging Tyla being mixed race, it doesn't mean that the majority of people automatically acknowledge Tyla's mixedness. In fact, I think I had a comment Foolery Exposed video where I had a comment of somebody saying that Tyla is like a brown-skinned, unambiguous black woman. And those are the types of comments that I share on this channel because it highlights the hypocrisy. And another critique I got was me making a video about Kelly Rowland bleaching her skin. Like, why are you making that video? Kelly Rowland is not an MLS woman. Well, she is now. I mean, she's damn near light skinned now. But no, I'm making that type of content because, once again, I can make whatever I want. So that's my response. Bitch, I can still make whatever the fuck I want. How about them apples? But also, it's because one of the lies that some women will say is, nobody wants to be a light skin tone. That skin tone is ugly. You age like milk, blah, blah, blah. There are not dark-skinned black women who wish that they were lighter. That's more of a minority, or like most dark-skinned black women, they do not ever wish to be lighter. And so Kelly Rowland is one of many. And by the way, I still have to make my Kelly Rowland video. I'm really backed up on editing right now. But I have undeniable proof at this point that Kelly Rowland's skin tone is different than what it was before. And the pictures are undeniable. And so you being confused, like if I have a channel that was directly created to oppose groupthink from unambiguous black women, why are you suddenly confused when I make content opposing unambiguous black women? It's like, duh, that's what my channel does. I make alternative talking points to unambiguous black channels all the time. It's like, no shit, Sherlock. Of course I'm going to make that. And then another critique I got is someone said, like, I am pointing out black women taking L's. And it's like, oh, wow. So you do think that Normani's career is an L and that Kelly Rowland bleaching is an L and that, you know, these inferiority complexes you guys have is an L. So why is it only an L when I call it out? But it's not an L when you ignore it. So do you see what I mean? So it's like, you were actually okay with having these inferiority complexes. You were okay with being invisible. You were okay with secretly bleaching your skin. But then when you're exposed for doing that in the public eye, then suddenly it's an L. And it's like, okay, so why is it only an L if Exoticals United talks about it? So you're basically saying, just let us hate ourselves and be inferior in peace. And it's like, well, first of all, that's not the diss you think it is, because you're actually dissing yourself in a horrible way, but also me calling these things out and then actually offering solutions on my channel, one of the side effects is that I help unambiguous black women, which has been proven because people are actually pissed off that black women are following this channel. And then another critique I got was like, oh, you're trying to make people hate watch your content. Well, duh, no shit, Sherlock. That's what you do on social media. Rage bait, although I started off unintentionally doing it because I really didn't think that people would be enraged by the existence of a space like this. But if your rage causes you to give me money, well, then guess what? I'm going to keep getting my Exotical tax. And another thing is, people actually do this on social media all the time. They do certain thumbnails that make you like get enraged, or they make you have a strong reaction. For me, it's my titles. My titles and my writing style. My writing style is very strong. So my titles are very strong. My titles are the most sensational part of my channel. And so duh, of course I'm going to get views from people like yourself who get enraged by me talking about Kelly Rowland and showing a picture of Kelly before and after. Of course, people are going to get enraged by that and click on it. That's the nature of social media. That's how algorithms work. The way that the YouTube algorithm works is it rewards content creators like myself for creating long-form content and causing you to start a watch session on YouTube, and for giving this channel time, like watch time. Because the more watch time you give YouTube, you know, the more that YouTube can charge their advertisers, and that like it's a whole thing. YouTube is a part of Google. So of course I'm going to do that. Of course that's one of my motives. That is one of my many motives, to gain money and views, not just based off of, you know, me helping my community, but also based off of me calling out the hypocrisy and being controversial. So yeah, controversy can enrage some people. It causes people to become emotionally dysregulated. And yes, I am proudly having people watch my content. I believe that I deserve to be paid for that, because imagine coming on the internet every day and dealing with emotionally dysregulated people like yourself, you know, like the haters that try to come against this community. So yeah, I should be paid for that. And I will continue to do so. And I have no problem saying it. And I love that. I actually like if people rage watch my content. That's fine. If you want to hate watch, then hate watch. And then one of the other popular critiques was like the Exotical Storytime series. Like, oh, that's making black women look bad and it's making them look antagonistic. And it's like, okay. I mean, the colorism stories technically make lighter skinned women look antagonistic, or it makes mixed women look antagonistic. But I have no problem with colorism content existing. I still believe that channels like Chrissy and channels like that should exist. They're not wrong for having their spaces. They're actually not wrong for that. They have a right to exist. If Chrissy put her videos back up right now, I would celebrate. And I would say, yes, I'm so glad that Chrissy is standing 10 toes down on her content, and instead of being a coward. I'm so glad that she's standing 10 toes down and re-releasing her content. So that's actually not a bad thing. Like, just because somebody tells their story, and let's say the bad guy in their life story happened to be a mixed person or a light-skinned black woman who was like colorist, I had no problem listening to that. People had no problem listening to all the colorism, like Dark Girls and all those documentaries. So why is it that all of a sudden, after all of these years of silence, when light-skinned women say, "Okay, you know what? We're going to tell our stories now," and why is it that with this tiny YouTube channel, suddenly we're making you guys look antagonistic? And that's the complaint. And it's like, okay, well, no shit, Sherlock. Of course, they were the antagonists in those stories. Like if you are pulling people's hair, or if you're beating someone up, or you're stabbing someone in the face, yeah, you are the antagonist in that story. I don't care what color you are. Now what? Who gonna check me? And then another critique that I got is like, if I'm truly trying to uplift MLS women, then I would solely only focus my content on uplifting them, as opposed to making any sort of controversial content. And it's like, well, once again, no shit, Sherlock. My only agenda is not just to uplift MLS women. It's also to express my personal creativity. And, this channel did not start off with me talking about decentering men, for example. That was something that I had on my heart at the time when I was kind of learning about that and going through that journey for myself. And so not only is this a place for MLS women to come, but it's also a place for me personally as a content creator to talk about whatever I want to talk about. So if I want to talk about crocheting and sewing tomorrow, then I can. Welcome to the internet. And then also saying like, oh, after someone watches your content, they're going to view Black women in a bad light. Well, can't I say the same about anything that talks about light-skinned women, anything that talks badly about women in general? Can't I say the same? But also another argument against that, though, is if somebody is dumb enough to create an entire stereotype about billions of people based on a YouTube video, then that person was already an idiot. That person already does not understand nuance. So I say this all the time, but guess what? You're not going to be able to silence me with the not all argument. Because I said at the beginning of my channel, I'm not going to come on here every single video, not all, not all, not all, giving all these different disclaimers and stuff and trying to backtrack. No, other people are loud and proud with their messages, so I get to be loud and proud with mine. And also saying that I'm sending out a negative message of unambiguous Black women. Why am I the Martin Luther King of the unambiguous Black women all of a sudden? Like, why are you putting me on such a high pedestal to the point where you're begging me to be your representation? You're begging me to represent you the same way you guys begged for white Hollywood, for white men to represent you. Why would people who do not have your exact phenotype and experience, why would they center you and center your perspective? If they do that, that is more of a favor. That's more of a courteous thing. That's more of like them being nice, but they don't owe you that. Like, you're not entitled to that. So I don't owe you a certain type of representation on my channel. I don't owe you a certain type of perspective on my channel. I don't owe you the main voice on this channel. And then another like critique I got is like, oh, Exoticals United, she doesn't want to basically say that she's making unambiguous women look bad. I know damn well that my content, depending on how you take it, that yeah, I mean, some of the things that unambiguous women have done are bad. I mean, let's be 100% honest. People do bad things all the time, and people talk about those bad things, and I will continue to talk about those things. I'm going to continue to expose them. I'm never changing it, unless I decide to change it, of course. You're not going to be able to bully me into changing anything. And also saying that, like, I'm trying to tie it to psychology and sociology, even though I haven't produced any credentials. Well, if you look at channels like Cynthia G, her channel kind of pathologized Black men. If you look at channels like Kevin Samuels, his channel kind of pathologized women or Black/MLS women. So those people, they don't have doctorates in psychology, yet they were able to give their own personal opinions. Shira Seven's channel pathologizes men or men with money. My decentering men content is technically, it's kind of almost like pathologizing men or pathologizing the types of men that relate to my content. So just because somebody doesn't have a degree, it doesn't mean that they're not allowed to discuss a certain thing. So like I said, this is a form of social media. This is not a university, okay? I'm not trying to train you into getting your PhD. So guess what? I don't have to have any credentials. And then saying that, like, if I truly cared about MLS women, I would only highlight their wins and men treating them well. And it's like, no, that's what you guys try to do in the unambiguous Black community, which is fine. But just because other women have a certain marketing tactic, that doesn't mean that I have to do the same thing. And it's like, who died and made you the queen of YouTube analytics and YouTube marketing? Because last time I checked, my channel's doing just fine. My community's doing just fine. I don't have any strikes on my channel. I haven't been banned. I haven't had anything to where it's like I'm demonetized. So since you're so concerned about credentials, like where are your credentials? The people who come online into your comment section and say, well, where are your credentials? It's like, where are your credentials? You don't even have an audience. What are you talking about? Where are your credentials? Since you're so concerned about credentials, I didn't bring up credentials. You brought that up. So since you're so concerned about that, where are your credentials? Did you take courses on how to create a YouTube channel? Did you take courses on how to do marketing and analytics and do all that stuff to create a good brand for your YouTube channel? And so if you're so concerned about credentials, well, you don't have the credentials to critique YouTube channels like mine then. I mean, if by that logic, you don't have the credentials yourself. So you actually just set yourself up. You put yourself in a trap right there. And then another thing that someone said is like, my safe space, the Exotical safe space is disrupting others. So it's like, okay, so you're basically implying that we shouldn't have a safe space then, because the existence of this safe space is literally disruptive to your safe space. And it's like, okay, if the existence of my emotional safety is disruptive to you, then that means you're actually the one causing the emotional instability. You're actually the one who is emotionally unsafe then. And then saying that I'm reinforcing negative stereotypes about unambiguous Black women, well, couldn't I, by that same logic, couldn't I make the argument that you guys are reinforcing negative stereotypes about light-skinned women or mixed women? So it's like, okay, notice how if other women have commentary, like Queen Chama or whoever, it's no problem. Oh, they're just making commentary. Oh, it's just their opinion. Oh, it's just having fun on YouTube. Why are you taking it so seriously? You're being too sensitive. And I agree. I'm like, oh, yeah, you're absolutely right. They have the right to create commentary. But then when I do it, oh my God, you are making negative stereotypes about Black women. So notice how this small channel, they put it on such a high, sky-high pedestal to the point where it's like, oh my God, I have the power to just create all these new stereotypes about unambiguous Black women. I just created a whole new stereotype where I just reinforced all of these stereotypes, and now all of their lives are ruined. All of their safe spaces are ruined because of the existence of Exotical YouTube channels. And also saying that my YouTube channel is not building a bridge to Black female unity. First of all, I could actually argue that that's false because I do have Black women who are unified on my channel or like within, that are subscribed to this channel. And there are also other women who are kind of creating their own spin-off channels, whether they're monoracial or multiracial, and they're based on this channel. Or they kind of were started or inspired by this channel. I've never seen that with any of the other sectors. Not to where they're like directly interacting with other creators and stuff. I've never witnessed that. In fact, if I were to look at channels like, let's say, Chrissy, Pink Pill, Cynthia G, all of those women, Paris Milan, I've seen all of those women like consistently beefing with each other over the years or trying to bash the other one's business and stuff like that. And over here, there have actually been a lot of women who are just creating their own channels and they're like being successful. So saying that I'm not creating a bridge amongst Black women, not only is that false, but it's also impossible for you to prove. You can't prove that. Oh, I'm not helping to build a bridge or to build any unity whatsoever amongst any Black women. Well, I could say that that's false because I have a Discord right now that has a whole bunch of Black women in it of different shades that talk to each other and that, they're making friendships and stuff all the time. And also, even when it comes to that, it's like, once again, why are you making me the Rosa Parks of the Black community? So this is another sign of internalized pedestalization. You're putting me on such a high pedestal to the point where you think that I am required to be the bridge builder. So once again, you're trying to make me into your representation. I am supposed to be the newfound mediator. I've been elected queen and the newfound mediator of Black female spaces here on YouTube. And then saying that I speculate about what they're thinking and stuff like that. Like when I say, oh, some women have inferiority complexes or, these are symptoms of mental illnesses. So me speculating is me like making Black women look bad. And once again, I see people speculating about women all the time and what they're thinking or speculating about light-skinned women. Oh, they've been raised to think they're better or they think they're better than or biracials with Black moms versus Black dads. So notice how they can dish it out, but then they can't take it back. So you are allowed to speculate about what I'm thinking, but then if I start doing the same thing and keeping that energy, you just can't handle the smoke. But if you can't handle the smoke, get out the kitchen. What do you ladies think? Let me know in the comment section and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.